All right, so for this video, we're looking at basically the second and third phrase of the piece. The first phrase wound up fitting nice and neat on the page, and that the first 8-bar phrase was also the end of the first line. There are a total of 5 8-bar phrases. So we're going to do from measure 9 to the end of measure 24. So this is going to be the second and third phrase of the piece. So we're looking at the beginning of the second line. Our first phrase goes from 9 to 16. This is a lot of what we did on the first line, except we've got some dotted 16th 32nd note rhythms. So let's start with measure 9. So again, erase the beam, and we have dotted 8th 16th quarter note and then 4 16th notes. So that's that dotted rhythm you're more used to, that 1 to 2. Okay, so that's going to be our first rhythm, and you're going to see that rhythm a lot, that 1 to 2. You see it at the beginning of measure 9, you see it at the beginning of measure 10, beginning of measure 11. You see different things after them. They don't always end with an 8th note, but it's always going to start with that 1 to 2. Okay, so let's try just the first measure. And it goes 1 to 2, 3 T take to 1. Okay, that's kind of the simpler one. The next measure is identical, except you have a roll on beat 2. So instead of 2, 3 T take to 1, you now fill in that 8th note with a roll and get 2 T take to 3 T take to 1. So let's try those two measures, measure 9 and 10. Ready? 1 to 2, 3 T take to 1, to 2 T take to 3 T take to 1. Okay. Measure 11 is going to start the same way, but then it's going to go to 16th notes, which are not 2 T take ta. They're 2 te 3 te. 1 to 2 te 3 te 1. Okay. Those 16th notes are like 8th notes. 1 te 2 te. All right. Try those three together. First three. Ready? And 1 to 2, 3 T take to 1, to 2 T take to 3 T take to 1, to 2 te 3 te 1 T take to 2 te 3. Okay. And I just kind of tagged on measure 12 there. It's exactly the same as the first measure. 1 T take to 2 te 3. Same as measure 1. All right. So let's try those together. Remember that every time you have those consecutive 16th notes, like in measure 11 and measure 12, it's going to be all on the right hand. Your dotted rhythm, 1 to 2. You should already know how to stick that. That's going to be right, left, right. And we are at forte in the center of the drum, which we know is 1 inch away from the center. Here we go. So nice and relaxed. Don't have to pound. And 1, ready, go. Try that again. 1, ready, go. Okay, so like I said in the last video, this is not hard to play. It's just a little more challenging to read because you have to do that conversion in your head. This is not a technically challenging etude. This is very straightforward. All right, let's take a look at 13. We've already seen this measure basically in measure 10. It's just scooted over one now. So we're starting with an 8th note roll, which is going to be those 4 16ths of buzz, 1 beat, 1 T take to 2 T take to 3, followed by another beat of actual 32nd notes. So measure 13, 1 T take to 2 T take to 3. Okay. Now measure 14 is written kind of confusing because they did not break the beams, I think, in a way that makes it a little more clear. But you basically have a 16th note triplet followed by 2 16th notes. So we know 16ths go bop bop or 1 te, in this case 2 te. So those first 3 16th notes, which you can't really see the grouping because like I said, they didn't break the beam and they didn't do a bracket. That's kind of a lame job. But it's the first 3 are the triplet, and then there's the 2 16th notes. So these are 2 te. So think erase that bottom beam in your head, and it's not a 16th note triplet anymore. It's an 8th note triplet, which we know is 1 la li. Okay, so it's just a basic triplet followed by 2 8th notes, like an 8th note triplet followed by 2 8th notes. 1 la li 2 te. That's going to be your rhythm. 1 la li 2 te. And then you have another roll, 3 T take to 1. Okay, another 1 beat roll. So that whole measure together, 1 la li 2 te, 3 T take to 1. So you have 3 different kind of note values there. 1 la li 2 te, 3 T take to 1. 4 different speeds you got to hit. 1 la li 2 te, 3 T take to 1. I would practice that measure without the roll, just doing the skeleton, just to line up those 3 things. You'll notice measure 14 starts on the left hand, okay? That's so that when you finish the triplet, you're on the right hand. So just that measure without the roll would be, that was a little fast. I'd practice that first. Ready, and left. I keep playing that triplet too fast. Ready, and. Okay. Now go back in and add the roll. Ready, and. Again, ready, and. Now let's combine that with measure 13. 13 and 14 together. And 1, ready, go. Sticking in the second measure, it's at the beginning of the line, you gotta look ahead. Okay, don't get caught off the guard there. Left, right, right, zah. One more time, 13 and 14. Ready, and go. Okay, now we're gonna kind of reverse things here. See, this is an example of how the first measure should have been, or how measure 14 should have been written. You see how they broke up the 16ths and the 16th note triplet, so it's a lot clearer. That would have been great in measure 14. But it's the same thing, just in a different order. You've still got your 2/16ths, you got your 16th note triplet, that 2 la li, and then you've got your 4 32nd notes, and you're gonna stick them all the same way. Right, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay? So the 16ths are still a pair on the right, your triplet still starts on the left, and your 32nd notes still go off the right. So that measure by itself, to count it, would be 1 take 2 la li 3 ti te to 1. 1 take 2 la li 3 ti te to 1. So again, we got those 3 different targets to hit. Playing it, so the goal is to make all 3 of those sound like totally different speeds. Here's what you don't want. You don't want it to sound like it's just gradually speeding up. You want to hear ba 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 da 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 da. Like that. Okay? So let's put those 4 measures together now. This is the first half of the phrase. Measure 13. 1 and ready, go. Left. Try it one more time. Measure 13. Don't forget those triplets start on the left hand every time. Ready and go. Alright. So let's take a look at the next part here. Okay. Measure 17 looks way harder than it is. Okay. So we know that 2/16th notes will go 1 te, okay, or 2 te. So we have basically 2/16th notes here that we're starting off on in measure 17. We have a 16th note and a 16th rest. So play a flam on 1, and then rest on the te, and then on the next beat, the next pair of 16ths, you have a rest and then a note. So you're going to rest on 2, play on the te. And then your third beat is just the 8th rest, because remember the 8th rest gets the whole beat, okay? So the rhythm for this is 1 te, 2 te, 3. 16th, 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 8th. 1 te, 2 te, 3. But what you're playing is 1 te. So I'm only playing on 1 te, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and tag on the first 2 notes of the next measure. 2/16ths, it's going to be 1 te. So that rhythm together is 1 te, 1 te. So you really got to think about where beats 2 and 3 are. 1 te, 1 te. Okay? All those flams are on the right hand. Whenever possible, just like we talked about earlier with slower rhythms, whenever possible, we always try to play our flams on the same side because they sound more consistent that way. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be good at left-hand flams, because it may come a day where like you have to do all your flams on the left side. Okay? But for right now, we're going to do them on the right because that's probably going to sound better. So let's play that. Measure 17 and the first 2 notes of 18. 1, ready, go. So when you take away all the fancy rests and the fact that it's in 3/8 and whatnot, it's a very simple rhythm. Bop, 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 bop. Okay? So get the sound in your head. Don't overthink it. Don't get bogged down in trying to read it off the page. Just understand what it's supposed to sound like. 1 te, 1 te. Okay? Finishing off with measure 18, we just said 1 te. The 8th rest is 2. And then here's our last beat. We've got a 16th rest and a 16th note, which we know is going to be te. So we had a te of 3 at the end of the measure. 1 te, 2, te 1. 1 te, 2, te 1. Okay? So 17 and 18, count that. Ready? 1 te, 1 te, 2, tay, one. One, ready, again. One, tay, one, tay, one. And that's just a rhythm you have to get in your head. You got to memorize that rhythm and know what it sounds like, know how it fits on the beat. Okay. Notice that tay one, the beginning of the next measure, is going to be soft. It's going to be a piano. Okay. We have measure 19, which is a repeat of measure 2. 1 T T 2 T T 3. It's even piano, so back at the edge after those two big flams. Whack, whack, boom, boom. Here, soft, bump, bump. 1 T T 2 T T 3, and then measure 21. We have a dotted quarter note. Dotted quarter note roll. So 3 beats long. 1 T T 2 T T 3 T T 1. Okay. So let's try counting that part of the phrase. Starting at 17, going all the way to the downbeat of 21. Count it first. Ready and go. 1 tay, 1 tay, tay, 1 T T 2 T T 3, 1 T T 2 T T 3 T T 1. Try it again. Get softer when you get to the pickup to 19. And 1, ready, go. 1 tay, 1 tay, tay, 1 T T 2 T T 3, 1 T T 2 T T 3 T T 1. Let's try playing that. 17, 2, ready, and go. So once you understand what it is, it's super simple, okay? You just got to get past the reading part. Play it again. 1, and ready, go. Now, let's go back to the 4 measures I completely skipped altogether. That was weird. Go back to measure 13. Or did we do this? Nope, I'm insane. We did all those. All right, measure 21. Cool. So I thought we'd skip that for some reason. We're on the last 4 measures of this third phrase now. So we're at measure 21. If ever a rest confuses you, you should just fill that rest in with a note. Okay, so measure 21, we have an 8th rest. We know that's the full beat, so beat 1. And then we have this 16th rest on 2. Okay, we'll look at measure 7, and you'll see that exact same rhythm. Measure 7, remember we counted 1 T T 2 tay, so 16th, 2 32nds, and then 2 16th notes. 1 T T 2 tay. Okay, look at measure 21 now, and imagine that if you took that 16th rest and filled it in with a 16th note, on beat 2, you would have exactly what you have in measure 7, okay? Except it would be starting on 2. So we have our 8th note on 1, and then 2 T T 3 tay at the end of the measure. 1, 2 T T 3 tay. The only thing is, the 16th rest, you don't say 2. 1 T T 3 tay, okay? So you're just gonna take out that first right hand of that rhythm. 1 T T 3 tay, okay? So picture that one like measure 7, just with the downbeat missing. 1 T T 3 tay. Measure 22, very simple. 1 2 T T 3. Okay, so full beat of roll, full beat. Measure 23. These are all just combinations of rhythms we've already seen. Measure 23, 1 to 2. Again, right, left, right. 1 to 2. 3 T T 1. Now this one looks a little different, but it's just 1 T T 2. Okay, again, take away a beam and you get 8th, 2 16th, and a quarter note. 1 T T 2. Excuse me. So now let's try playing from counting from measure 21 to the end of 24. Just counting. Remember, it starts with 1 T T 3 tay. Count it and ready and go. 1 T T 3 tay. 1 2 T T 3. 1 to 2 3 T T 1 T T 2. And then a rest on 3. Count that again. Starting at 21. Ready and go. 1 T T 3 tay. 1 2 T T 3. 1 to 2, 3 T T 1 T T 2, rest. Okay? And let's try playing that. Measure 21. Last 4 bars of this phrase. It's a little quicker here. Excuse me, this is piano at the edge. Okay, right, left, right, right. Here we go. 21, 1, and ready, and go. Rest. And there's the downbeat of 25. Do it again. 1, and ready, and go. Okay. Again, very basic rhythms. There's nothing you're hearing is complicated. Okay, it's all rhythms you've heard and played before. It just looks a little bit different. So get the sounds, get the counting in your head. That's what's gonna save you, is knowing how to count it, knowing how to speak the rhythm. Okay, so the next video we'll do the fourth and the fifth phrase.